Daisy Fresh, I think we could definitely be a dark horse team. A lot of people, they talk about their team and how they help them train and everything, but they don't compete as a team. This is truly teamwork. This is truly like being ready to like jump on a grenade for your team.
Jiu-jitsu nerds, we're about a month away from CJI2, so if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, you're crazy. It's going to be amazing. We just toured Thomas and Mack Arena, and the Royal Rumble factor is going to be insanity. But on today's episode of On Borrowed Time, we refocus on Daisy Fresh, but this time with a Canadian twist. Joining us is two-time ADCC bronze medalist Dante Leon, his rising protege Max Hanson, who is fresh off of a win at WNO 29, and also the wrestling standout in Brandon Reed, three-time NAIA champion, who is looking to make a statement at CJI2. Joining us now is your 2024 ADCC absolute bronze medalist. It is Dante Leon, and we are going to be seeing him on the CJI2 platform. Very excited for that. Dante, I know after submitting Mika, getting third place in the absolute division, in retrospect, you're probably thinking that going the ADCC route was definitely the move for you. But when we think back to when it was CJI versus ADCC in the lead up, was deciding between the two a difficult one? And how would you rate the level of difficulty making that decision?
The decision was difficult for sure. You see so many people from like my division, specifically in the 88 division, leaving and going to another tournament. So the decision came down to, because I had dedicated so much time and was so focused on ADCC, I didn't change it. After that weekend, like I said, it was one of the biggest weekends ever for jiu-jitsu. So CJI really solidified itself as a player. So it was definitely a goal to get onto a CJI card. Now that I've done so many ADCCs, it's not necessarily after doing it 3 times, doing CJI 0, I really am looking forward to doing a CJI. I've done a lot of work on the super fight scene and the major promotions since 2017, 2018. I've been on all the biggest promotions in the sport. So like if you go back in time and you look at ones that kind of really aren't around as much anymore, like Kasai's, and when Fight to Win was really big, and I was champion and competing on all of those cards and main eventing a lot of those shows. So as far as professional jiu-jitsu, I've been around that for a while. So now I think it's kind of more and more where people make money and there's larger promotions, like ONE FC, which I'm a part of, like the UFC Fight Pass, and Who's Number One now being kind of its own separate entity. I think all the highest level people in the sport, at least professional grapplers, I think they're kind of chasing the bag in a sense. I think we're kind of trying to get money, trying to chase not necessarily like what's the biggest payday, but what makes sense and what kind of aligns with what professional grapplers should be getting paid. So, CJI obviously only boosts that for the athletes, because $1 million and whether it's individual or it's a team thing, and IEGA with $1 million for a team, events like that only, raise the bar.
So how does your training change at all when preparing for a one championship rule set versus the quintet hybrid CJI2 rule set that you'll be seeing?
I think submission is going to be really important. I think when you're talking about one championship, you're really trying to submit people. Submission is what's really going to be the focus, I feel like. It's like the focus that's in one. It's going to be the focus here at CJI. But there are some big differences. I mean, you're in a ring at one championship that has a lot of its challenges. The pit is completely different than that. I mean, the ring allows you to, you can really use it to your benefit. You could, I've used it to my benefit before, but more often than not, it kind of doesn't really help me out. It's kind of like stifled me in some positions. Whereas I think the pit can have some of the same thing, but I think the pit has a little more dynamic ability with it. I think you can kind of push off it a little more. I think it's easier to get takedowns when you're the guy pushing somebody against the pit. So thankfully I have a pit to train in. We're going to put a lot of work in that, as far as like a strategic side, as far as a training side, and figure out some things about it. But I think that the venue, that specific thing is what makes it so different.
I was just about to ask you, have you built out a pit? So is it in Adamus that the pit is at?
Now the pit's at Westside Barbell in Columbus. So Westside, they got inspired by the biggest weekend of jiu-jitsu last year. You know, they watched CJI, they watched ADCC. They were there with me, and they were like, "What do you think we should, like, build a pit? We have some space here to put mats down." They were just gonna have a mat space, but they're like, "Why don't we just make a pit?" And I was like, "Yeah, sweet." So they built that up. It's all matted. Last couple weeks, we've been getting in there and like playing around with it. And like I said, the pit wall's a lot different. You know, it's not 90 degrees. It's more like 45-degree angle. So if you're getting that forward momentum on takedowns, it's almost feels like you just push somebody over and get the takedown much easier than you could if there's like a cage wall or ring ropes around the outside. So it definitely is going to have its challenges, and I think teams that are a little more adept with it, a little used to that kind of venue, are going to have a huge advantage because strategy is going to come in huge in a lot of forms in this team event.
Especially from the coach's side. So, how confident are you that Heath is going to be prepping for how he's going to handle the quintet kind of style, who he's going to send out, the Royal Rumble fashion? There's so many different moving parts, but how confident are you that Heath is going to be able to have that all under control?
He's great in the chair. He's great when you're out there competing. He's great not letting the officials kind of like sidewind you or derail you. He keeps you very calm, and those things like that is going to be what his game planning and his preparation is. We're trying to like get ready, get in shape, and be ready to scrap and get some victories for him. He's kind of looking at those things and having to prepare for that. So, my confidence that Heath doing his job is very high.
And another part that I really appreciate about Daisy Fresh is that you guys are a true team. Like, you guys aren't really taking advantage of the wild card aspect. What are your thoughts about that? Like, do you feel like there could have been a wild card that you guys should have been putting in, or you're just feeling like this lineup, Max Hanson, Dante Leon, Jacob Couch, Michael Pixley, and Brandon Reed, is the way to go, confident and ready to get that $1 million?
Yeah, I think it's a great team. I think it's cool that it all comes from the same place, all under the same flag. When you look at some of the teams, like, I could have been a wild card team and go somewhere and just like join some crazy ass team. I think strategy and teamwork comes into a lot more than people think about with these quintets. I think a lot of these teams, they get really, really super talented people on there. They load the team up. They got all these super good guys, super tough people, and they don't work together very well, and the wheels fall off the wagon. I think if we have a good team bond and good teamwork, good preparation, I think we can surprise a lot of people, regardless if people are cherry picking or putting other people on their team. I think we have a really good shot. Each person has a certain set of tools. Max at 66 is going to be really hard to deal with, especially for the smaller people. And once again, you don't know how they're going to get matched up. You could have me going against the biggest guy on somebody else's team, me going against the smallest guy, vice versa. Brandon Reed going against like a dude who's 140 pounds. There's all kinds of stuff that can happen. So teamwork, us being all from the same team and having a relationship, I think that's really going to help us in a way that's not really looked at by the public right now.
And when we look at the teams that we all know are going to be there, we got 10th Planet, B Team, New Wave, Autos, and then the Misfits teams as well. What is your thoughts on who the dark horse team is, and what do you think the team that is the favorite?
A dark horse team could definitely be Daisy Fresh. I think we could definitely be a dark horse team, and I don't think when you hear the name besides like New Wave or Autos, people might think like, oh no, I don't know if they can compete. But I think we're definitely a dark horse team, and I think we definitely have a good mix of talent in there. If we can get ahead of any of these teams and we can win, I think we're definitely a good dark horse team. Some people might consider us not a dark horse team. I think the ones that don't consider us a favorite, we're definitely a dark horse team. As far as like favorites, I don't, it's tough to say. I think B team could be really good. I think New Wave could be really good. Atos, The Misfits team, obviously, they have a lot of places to pull from, and they can kind of pick their talent. And they don't necessarily like cherry pick their talent because they have the trials and they have the people who compete there. But when they get to piece it together with all kinds of different people from different places, they can really, really make a tough team. Especially considering you got some wild card picks in there for the weight classes that they can't fill. So it's really tough to say. But the teams that have that big like pop with their name, I think the New Way is the B team. I think the general public is going to see them as a favorite.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be very interesting as soon as we start to get closer to this event. Tell me about your instant reaction when they said that there was going to be a Royal Rumble-esque style. You're not going to know who's next. So I feel like that kind of adds maybe into the anxiety of it because you really don't know what's coming up next.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Growing up being a wrestling fan and the Royal Rumble being the coolest part about it. When you played wrestling video games, you always did Royal Rumble with your friends, so that part of it's really cool. I think I think it can be beneficial, and I think it can be detrimental. It kind of depends. There's only 5 people. If you get behind by a score, or somebody goes out there submits 1 or 2 people, I think it can really, really, guys can really, or teams can really run away with these titles, or run away with these dual matches, and really surprise some people. So I think that can really play into the surprise factor. I think it excites the crowd and excites the public a lot more. But I think it's going to be down to who gets ahead, who gets that like point ahead, who gets that submission on the board, and can keep that gap between the teams and between the scores. I think those are the people that are going to win.
And when we talk about your guys' under 99 kilogram spot, we got Michael Pixley. Break down his game and what we can expect come August 30th and 31st from him.
I think Pixley is going to be extremely scary in the pit specifically. I think his hand fighting and his ability to like move people and push people around. I think when he gets used to the walls in there, I think he's just going to be so hard to deal with. Again, it's about getting comfortable in there and getting used to those that atmosphere and that venue. But I think once he does, which he inevitably will, with us having that pit, I think he's going to be really scary. I think he's going to be really hard to deal with. I think if he gets put against anybody his size or even bigger, they're probably going to end up on the bottom at some point in time, and that's not really a great place to be when you're trying to like hunt back and submit somebody who's as big as Michael Pixley. So I think his benefit for us is being able to kind of dish it out and handle anybody any size who's in there. Then we also have Brandon Reed, who has a similar kind of like skill set, similar kind of assets as Pixley does. So I think those guys are definitely able to handle their weight at the bigger weight classes.
Yeah, I just think back to Brandon Reed slamming Philippe Pena, and I'm like, oh my gosh, if that happened to anyone that wasn't Philippe Pena's size, would be
Yeah,
terrible.
exactly, exactly. That's a good. You have to have some. The trick is like big people. Sometimes they can lose to the little people, and the little people they can lose to the big people. It has the differences in their games, and they don't really. Sometimes they don't adjust well to the whether it's the speed or the strength or the size. So to be able to have people in there who have a good adaptability. Somebody like Max Hanson, I think, is great. He's great at competing against people that are small. He's great at competing against the bigger people. My specialty is that, as well as competing against people who are like all the way down to 155, which is a division I make frequently, and then all the way up to kind of really whatever size. So like I have that ability, and Max has that ability too. So that's a really beneficial thing. There's a lot of people out there who are great when you look at them at 66, 77. You throw in an 88 or 99 guy in there and they kind of go for shit. So having people who can go through different weight classes and handle different size opponents is going to be key. And the preparation is really big too, because like you said, you don't really get a lot of time. You don't know, if I submit you, then this person's coming out. Like you only know once that person slides down the wall and gets in there. So that's going to be a thing too that comes down to the prep.
And obviously, one of the times that you showcased your absolute experience was against Giancarlo Bodani, who is also a good friend of yours. He's going to be on the AIGA team as well. Do you think any part of him will come in with a personal vendetta or vengeance against you when CJI comes around and if you guys happen to match up?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, he's definitely gonna try and beat me. I know that 100%. I would try and beat him, regardless of like where it's at or what it's for. It's kind of gonna be the same deal with us. If I were to like go out there and then he was to go out there, we would kind of be like, oh shit, But yeah, I don't know if he's I talk to him all the time. I've never felt him have any animosity towards me or anything. And like this whole Aiga thing, we really worked together. But I know 100% if I'm out there and he's out there, he's gonna try and beat me. And I would not expect him or want him to be any different than that.
I feel like I can totally picture Bodani at night in his journal, like, Dante is next. He's nice to
He-
your face, but he's
he's
like,
he's so
he's
he's
plotting.
yeah, I don't know. That guy and I have been through so much shit together, and regardless of like what's happened, we've always stayed friends. So like even if he hated my guts low key and he wanted to beat my ass and he did beat my ass, he would still at the end of the day he'd still be my friend, you know what I mean? And regardless of like how he feels, he could like want to murder me, and I don't think I'd feel any different about him. I love the guy.
I love that for you too. And when we think to the grand prize of CJI2, imagine it now. What are you going to be doing with your share of $1 million?
Honestly, a lot of people say a lot of crazy things, and I'm probably like the least cool guy with my money. I put my money away, or I try and save it, or I try and invest, and I try and buy things that can set me up not to be broke when I'm older. We're doing this jujitsu shit. We don't have our entire lives to do it. So 40, 42 years old is a really old age to retire from this sport as far as being a competitor. So I don't have unlimited amount of time left, but I have a while left to stack up some cheddar and set myself and my family up to not really want or need for a whole lot. So, if I win that portion of $1 million, you can assure yourself that I am doing nothing extravagant or nothing crazy with that money. And it's gonna go somewhere that hopefully, if it's ever needed by my family, that it's there and it's there for them, or when I'm retired and it's time for me to enjoy my life and enjoy the nice things that I've built for myself, it'll be there and it'll be stacked up and ready. So, yeah, I wish I could give you an answer like I'd buy some cool shit, but I'm going to be honest with you, I would do nothing cool with it.
I think that is a good example to set for a lot of people. What would you say is Daisy Fresh's key to victory in CJI2?
Our biggest key to victory and the biggest key to victory for any team is teamwork. Is teamwork, teamwork, teamwork. That's going to be the biggest thing, Then and that's something that is rare. I would think for jiu-jitsu. A lot of people, they talk about their team and how they help them train and everything, but they don't compete as a team necessarily. Like it's just like a bunch of people competing all over. There's 100 different people on a team doing all these different things and all these different brackets, and then they add up the points at the end. Like this is truly teamwork. This is truly like being ready to like jump on a grenade for your team. So these kind of things, teamwork's really going to come down to it. If you have some kind of animosity, you got one member of the team who's kind of like has a sour, shitty attitude while everybody else is there to win, it's not going to benefit, and you're not gonna win the title. So it's like everybody's being on the same page, their teamwork, everybody wanting to get the same goal and working for it. That's what's going to help us and propel us to victory. Obviously everybody's needs to prepare, everybody needs to be in shape, but I think that shit's going to go out the window. I think everybody is going to be ready and in shape. I don't think there's going to be one person who's going to squad wipe one of the best teams in the tournament. I think eventually somebody might have one, two, maybe three submissions, and then they're going to get beat, or they're going to be out. So, yeah, I think teamwork is the number one.
And when it comes to teamwork, you have a lot of people that have your back. You got Westside Barbell, you have an awesome nutritionist. So if you want to give anyone a shout out that's been helping you on your career and your fight path, the floor is yours.
Yeah, well, first off, I want to thank my team and my gym. Adamus Jiu-Jitsu, where we all prepare. Max and I are actually members of the Daisy Fresh team. We're preparing from the same gym. Max is a student and training partner of mine, so it's really cool that being selected as the best on the team and to go into the best team event in the world. That Max and I both coming from Toledo, Ohio, from the same gym, same kind of upbringing is kind of cool. So definitely want to shout out my gym and my team. Shout out Pedigo. Shout out Daisy Fresh. And then West Side, Perry, Armbar Soap Company, Mateo, Dr. Capo, and Nutrition. One championship, Tom DeBlas, for being on board and allowing this to happen. If there's anybody else out there who I'm missing along the way, then don't be offended. This is a late night interview, so yeah.
Yes, it is late night for you. So thank you so much for the time. And we cannot wait to have you be a part of CJI2. I think this is going to be a big, big weekend for everybody. And it's going to bring a lot of action. And I'm really genuinely curious on who's going to go home with that money. Because I think people are coming in with their favorites, but anytime there's some type of favorite, I'm like, okay, it'll probably go the opposite direction. So I cannot wait for these jiu-jitsu nerds to keep talking, keep speculating, because there's going to be a lot of action. And if you want to get tickets, make sure you go to cji2.com. Those early release tickets have already been 50% sold out the last time I checked. So make sure you guys are on that. And we cannot wait to see you soon, Dante. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
We are currently being joined by the number 9th ranked 155 pounder in the world. It is Max Hanson, and he's going to be joining CJI2 under Pedigo submission fighting. And this is a stacked lineup that we have. I know Dante is going to be taking up that minus 77 kilogram spot. So you're taking up the minus 66 kg spot, Max. How is that weight cut going to be looking for you?
Honestly, it's not going to be like the biggest thing for me in the world. I fought at 145 before in MMA back in the day. And honestly, I've always been walking around like way underweight. Like right now, I'm like 163-ish. And I've kind of like just begun like this diet for this to 145. So I don't think it's going to be a huge thing. It was kind of already in my plans. So that now that like CGI is here, it's kind of like just motivation to like actually eat healthy for once here.
Yeah, that's definitely all the motivation you need when there's $1 million on the line. And I think it's super interesting that out of all the teams, we have the misfits, we have the wild cards also that are being thrown out there. But Pedigo Submission Fighting might be one of the only teams that is just going with their own team. So what does that say about the belief that Heath has in his guys?
I would describe him as like a very ride or die kind of coach. From day one when I met him, like there's just something about like his aura when he's talking to you and he's trying to corner you that you're like, this guy, like he's in my corner for real. Like, there's some people who show up and they coach you and all this stuff. It just seems like he gives a shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I have nothing but good things to say about the guy. So it kind of just shows like how everyone can rally behind this one dude who's done a lot of good things for the community. He's always looking out for his team, whether you're a white belt or a black belt. The dude's going to treat you the same. And that's like with respect and all the good things that a coach should treat you with, right?
And a lot of people know you guys from the amazing series that Flow Grappling put on with Daisy Fresh, but you're originally from Canada, like Dante, and you train at Adamus, which is in Toledo, Ohio. But when you were first getting into PSF, how was the reception of the other guys on the team towards you?
Honestly, they kind of just remind me of like how Dante was with me when I first started to train with him in Toledo, Ohio, like driving down from Canada every day. Basically, they're just welcoming. They just want to train. Like there's no drama there. Like they just want you to come in, have a good time, get good rounds in, get good training, learn from each other, make friends, all this kind of stuff that I kind of saw with like Dante. So it was like, oh, this is kind of like a good fit. After being in Ohio for about like a year, we transitioned over to Daisy Fresh and it was kind of like a perfect fit.
And when it comes to the camaraderie that you guys have as a team, now it's stacking up Max Hanson, Dante Leon, Jacob Couch, Michael Pixley, and Brandon Reed. I feel like all these guys work so hard. And I've heard you say on some other podcasts that you're the guy that's calling people up at 9 a.m. if they're not on the competition mats or the competition practice that you guys have. But with this lineup that you have, I feel like you're not going to be having to make so many of those phone calls. I feel like all these guys are really self-motivated, always there to grind.
Dude, honestly, we've all known each other for a very long time now. basically since I like started this journey moving to America from Canada, I've known Pixley, Couch, Dante, like all the Pedigo guys. The fact that we like get to compete on the same team, I think it's gonna be an advantage because I feel like we're gonna have like that sense of camaraderie, that sense of like we can do this shit us versus them mentality. You know what I mean? Kind of more tight knit than the other teams would be, in my opinion. Because a lot of these teams, like it's just random. Like Team Europe is just like you have like Paul Ardilla, and it's like you know what I mean? Like it's just like it's kind of random teams. You know what I'm saying? Like you have Victor Hugo on B team, so I don't know if there's going to be that same synergy, and people will find out. Like the quintets, I've done like a couple of quintets this year to kind of do preparation. Dude, every time Dude, I was on the most stacked team every time for the like just these random contests I was doing to test out. We're on the most stacked team every time, and like both times we lost. So I'm like trying to think about it. Like it is not about like who's gonna be most stacked, who's gonna be most talented team. It's gonna be about who is like game playing the most effectively and who's being intelligent about like when you're sending your guys out, like the context of when you send your guys. Like, are we down a submission? Are we up a submission? Stuff like this. Like really fighting the rule set, that's going to be the biggest thing. So I think we're going to have the biggest advantage when it comes to this.
And you definitely have so much experience in plenty of different rule sets. We've seen you in a great one with PGF. Obviously, 2024 ADCC, you're having to adjust to the rule sets there. Last year, for the inaugural CJI, we didn't see too many Pedigo submission fighters on the CJI stage. Why do you think it's different this year for CJI 2?
Honestly, the team event is kind of perfect. You almost have to have Daisy fresh because the kind of just the name value that they bring as like a team sense, right? Because you have like the big teams like New Wave, you have B Team, and outside of that, like I don't think like there's no like personalities when it comes to teams, maybe besides like Autos, and there's nothing like known as like oh we're this team that's like tight knit. It's kind of more like these associations that are spread out throughout the entire country, whereas Daisy Fresh, everyone's kind of tight, you know, like so I think that's going to be the biggest thing of why we're on this event this time is because it's a team event. And we're going to show that's exactly what it is. It's a team event. You can have the most talented guys. You can have like all these crazy people, but it's going to come down to the team at the end of the day who wins.
And I think it was in December of 2024 when you posted a bit of a manifestation of the team that you would send out for Pedigo submission fighting. And now it has come to fruition. It is officially locked in that you guys have that team. Was there any internal debates on who you guys would be sending out, or were you guys pretty confident that you knew who you guys were going to send out there?
Like I know Heath was trying to figure it out for a bit, and same with Dante. But I remember in December I was thinking like I'm pretty sure this has to be the lineup. Like if I'm going to 66, then we almost have to do like Dante 77, Couch 88, Pixie 9. Like it just worked out too well. You know what I mean? So I felt like that was kind of. I feel like it's been set in stone for a bit now. It's exciting, man.
And when we think back to the 2024 ADCCs, you were there. What was the energy like when Michael Pixley got the win against Nicholas Marigali? Because online you could feel the energy, but I can only imagine what it was like to be in the building.
Dude, I remember watching this from the stands. Like Dante and I were just watching, and we kept seeing Nicholas shoot in for single legs, and we're like, Pixie's gonna beat him, bro. Like he keeps trying to wrestle up, and like he kept returning him and defending his attacks, and like Nicholas was trying to wrestle up from the guard. It's like, bro, I know New Wave is like really good at like pulling the head down and stuff over and over and over until someone gets tired, but like Pixie's a legit wrestler. I think a lot of these jiu-jitsu guys don't understand. If you have like legit wrestling background, don't wrestle that motherfucker, dude. He's gonna toss you. And so we were seeing it happen. We're seeing it happen. And then when he finally bombed him, bro, dude, everyone stood up. It was going crazy, man. We were going nuts because we were like, it's over. And then dude, when he tapped, for me, that was like, besides Dante tapping out Miko at the ankle lock, that was like so electrifying. That was like, you seen the whole stadium fucking stand and blow up. It was nuts. That was a crazy, crazy moment, man. Crazy moment.
When it comes to all of the memories that you have with PSF, does one stand out as your favorite?
There's a lot of memories with them, man. Honestly, all right. For personally, my personal favorite was like when the Heath and all the team was like in my corner when I won pants. That was pretty sick, personally, just to have them there because I never really had like a big team cheer behind me. And for my first black belt adult major, that was pretty cool. Honestly, when Couch won trials, where he's just like submitting everyone, and then he was like running down, like high fiving everyone across the mats. That was also a pretty legendary moment because I knew I was like, all right, they're gonna be playing this for a bit here, like this. You know what I mean? It's one of those historic moments. for the sport that you'll see highlights of from years to come. And so that was pretty sick just to be there to see that, to support him when that was happening for sure.
So many good memories with all of you guys, and so many more to make in August 30th and 31st here in Las Vegas. The chances of going home with $1 million for your team, what would you do with your share of $1 million come CJI2?
I can probably buy a duplex or something. I don't know. Can I buy a duplex with that shit? Yeah, either that or just get a property for sure. I'll get in a house. I'm trying to be financially responsible here. I'm not trying to go broke at 35 here.
And at this point of your career, it's probably so surreal to really see that jiu-jitsu is starting to pave its way into being financially stable. I know you transitioned from MMA into fully committing to jiu-jitsu after placing third in the 2019 Nogi Worlds. So at this point, would you really have thought that jiu-jitsu has grown to where it is right now?
The fact that $1 million is even on the table, dude, that's nuts. That's nuts. Like even just the show money itself, like just what they're giving to for us athletes to even show up, just make weight. That's crazy in and of itself. Honestly, for a lot of these jujitsu guys, like that show money at 10 grand could change your life 100%. Like a lot of these guys are in like desolate situations, so it's really cool to see these tournaments popping up and like everyone, Craig and all these guys pushing the sport to kind of like pay more money to the athletes. You know what I'm saying? Like now I see like there's competition between Flow, ONE FC, UFC, and now CJI, like all these big, and ADCC and IBJJF. You have all these organizations now battling. So I think it's just going to push the sport more to have like bigger purses and more competition between the companies, which will push them to start paying more and more. So overall, man, I had no idea that jiu-jitsu could reach this point because when I was doing it, there was like 2 people in my local division, like for $10 medal. Like, dude, it's changed. Like, I can't even describe how much it's changed. It's nuts.
It is so crazy. And before I let you go, I want to bring up how I feel like you bring the entertainment not only on the mats, but even off the mats. At PGF, we saw you get into it with Daniel Sattler. I know there was a little bit of drama when some folks were saying that you didn't deserve to get the ADCC invite. So is there anyone currently on the Max Hanson hit list that I'd like to know about?
Oh, my hit list? Ah, damn, that's funny. One of the owners of the gym was joking around that I have like a hit list sometimes that I almost always have to have an enemy. I don't know. I think I just got a chip on my shoulder. Like I almost do have to like create an enemy for myself sometimes just so
to stay motivated.
Sometimes I just be stirring drama. I don't know. I'm not trying to. I swear. I'm not trying to. But sometimes people be misbehaving and then I engage in that. It goes back and forth. It starts to build up. And yeah, then you get the Daniel Sattler situation. Makes for good TV, but I'm not recommending it. Yeah, I don't know why I do that though. For real, for real. Sorry about that.
And that was like never resolved, right? Like you guys are still probably like beefing, like if you guys saw each other out and about.
Daniel? Yeah. No, no.
That's how it is. Tensions rise.
Bro, no, dude, this guy's crazy, bro.
So at this point, is your main focus CJI2? And what does your schedule look like if that is the goal?
Yeah. So basically, like, I was kind of sure I was going to be in CGI, like, right, like December-ish, January. I was pretty sure it was going to happen. Like, I was like, they have to have a Daisy Fresh team. So I was kind of planning out, like, fighting quintets, fighting these team events, seeing how these work out. So in the beginning of the year, I was kind of doing that, hopping into, like, these random quintet tournaments. And then also, I know there's a great potential for me to fight, like, very big opponents. So I've been trying to fight like up my weight class a bit just to kind of feel it out and see like what would it be like if I fought someone really big. Like last weekend in Cleveland, I fought this 270 pound black belt dude. Just to like literally like this is just like see what it might be like, what I might have to do because obviously the people I'm going to be fighting at CGI are like a million times better and they're also huge, but kind of gives me an idea of how I have to fight if I am faced with that situation. So kind of this whole year has been just kind of designed around preparing for CJI and Forest rule set, I would say the only other thing I had planned was to do trials and then just American National, just kind of do a tournament format and stay ready for that, like a lot of matches in one day.
Well, that's all very exciting. I think that's awesome that you're getting in there with 270-pound men to prepare for everything that you could potentially see at CJI2. And that is all going to be taking place August 30th and 31st. If you haven't gone to CJI2.com, it is going to be a sold out show. Thank you so much, Max. And we cannot wait to see you in August.
Thank you. Can I plug my Patreon?
Yes, go for it.
Yeah. Barry Athletics, Westside Barbell, and also check out my Patreon for the best jiu-jitsu analysis videos you've ever seen. Link is in my Instagram bio.
Joining us now is the three-time NAIA Wrestling National Champion, Brandon Reed, and he is going to be making his CJI2 under the Daisy Fresh banner. What's it like? The last time I've seen you, Brandon, you were medaling at the ADCC trials, and now you're getting to compete on what I'm assuming is going to be the biggest payday competition that you've experienced so far in your jiu-jitsu journey.
Yeah, by far. It's super exciting. I'm super grateful. Just giving my flowers to Heath because there were other great options, and I started training with Daisy Fresh a bit ago, and they're like family. So I'm really happy that I was given the opportunity, and I love competing. So I just kind of say yes to any big opportunities.
It's so amazing to hear about Daisy Fresh's story, people sleeping in the laundromat and then it growing to where it is today. But where did you get to know Daisy Fresh? Like, how did your relationship with them begin?
Yeah, so it's like an odd story, but I had a match with Pixley in 2021, and he guillotined me in like 10 seconds at Nogi Worlds. And that's kind of how I got to start to know everyone, because you know how it is. It's like you kind of just start talking to people. At first, I was a bit pissed because I got submitted really fast against Pixley, but then we all became friends, and then eventually it just kind of worked out to where we were just talking, and I kept saying I was going to come, and I was like, okay. Eventually, I did. I just came. I stayed at Pixley's house for a week just to see if I liked it, and I fell in love with it, and I just love everyone there. They feel like family. I've trained at a lot of places, like for ADCC trials, I trained at JT's. I love JT. He's like family to me too. It was just that like it felt how I felt when people ask me like why I chose Daisy Fresh. It felt like I was back on like a college wrestling team. I live in Montreal still, obviously, but whenever I go do training camps, I always go out to Daisy Fresh. Now it'd be like for ADCC, it was for like 8 weeks. Worlds, I went for a couple weeks. So I'm always back and forth between Montreal and Daisy Fresh.
Yeah, that's definitely the story also with Dante and Max Hanson kind of driving back and forth across the border to make things work. So that's so awesome that you found your fit with Daisy Fresh. And I think it's super interesting that you're coming in with the wrestling background that you do, because I feel like that's a big narrative for CJI2, especially with the super fight with Gable Steveson versus Craig Jones. So when you're thinking about your wrestling background and kind of the way wrestlers get put up against jiu-jitsu guys, how confident do you feel like your wrestling style is going to translate well inside the pit for this kind of submission-only quintet CJI hybrid rule set?
I think it should be pretty good. You know, I've competed a lot in jiu-jitsu. I competed a lot this year. I have like 20, 21 or something matches this year. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for a while now, and my wrestling has definitely changed a lot. It's become a lot more efficient. Specifically in prep for ADCC, it became a lot more efficient, particularly like learning how to control the back, ride. But for me, the pit wall doesn't really change too much. Actually, I like it because 90% of the time people get away with being like worse wrestlers because they just walk out of bounds. It happens all the time. You know, I'm not even saying it just because I'm doing CJI. It's just, I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be good, really good for me. Sorry. Especially because I just moved forward and I'm going to try to take people down and I don't know, just be fearless, and it's going to be great because they can't just run away anymore, which it genuinely is very amazing because it's been my biggest frustration. And at seminars, people ask me, oh, how do you stop people from walking backwards? And I'm like, yeah, I guess you have to have a wall, I guess, because I don't have the answer. So I'm really excited to see how that goes. If anyone even wrestles, I'm sure there will be a couple people who will wrestle, but I feel extremely confident that I will be able to pretty much out wrestle everyone.
And when it comes to some of the people that have been officially announced, it seems like the leg locks are going to be playing such a big part. So who are some of the training partners that you're getting to work with that are leveling up your leg lock defense?
Man, a lot of people. Like I said, I split time between Montreal and Daisy Fresh. Obviously, Daisy Fresh, everyone is really good at leg locks. Obviously, there's couch. I do mostly like a lot of positional training. TriStar, they have really good leg lockers with Faraz Sahabi is the head coach there. He's a black belt under John. So I've just done so many leg lock rounds, especially since at trials I have lost to Mike Perez via Aoki lock. And that was a little over a year ago. And I've just put such a major focus on defending legs. I'm going to go out there, do my best. And if someone tries to leg lock me and they get it, freaking good for them, but I don't think it's going to be quite as easy as someone might think it's going to be.
And you mentioned your run at the ADCC West Coast Trials when you placed third, incredible stuff. And then also CJI versus ADCC weekend kind of put the competition up and made it possible for you to compete in the 2024 World Championship. So tell me about your experience at ADCC.
It was good. I felt very, very grateful, and I'm happy that I was able to compete. I'm happy that Craig did what he did, because it gave someone like me, someone like Max, opportunities to compete at ADCC. And I think that there's nothing to lose when you compete at big events, and face big names, right? Like if I lose, it's like it doesn't really matter because no one expects me to win. And I did my best, and I feel like even if I get my butt beat in another match, I'll show heart in every match. And so I won big matches, so I was very happy.
Yeah, and that highlight reel slam that you did, I feel like that went completely viral. Is that something that you practiced, or was that an in-the-moment thing?
No, yeah, I have no idea. I was just like, I like double legs, and I was just like, fuck it, like grab the legs, and he put me in a guillotine, and I was like, okay, ADCC Royals guillotine, I'm allowed to slam, so I'm pretty strong. Philippe's not too big, so when he had my neck, I was like, whatever, I'm losing right now, so let's try to drive him through. And I was able to score, and I was extremely happy. I was just a bit annoyed with my performance after that, but I'm happy it happened. It gave me a lot of opportunities. It's honestly that one little clip has been the reason for most of these seminars that I'm doing. I've done like 60 seminars since ADCC, and it's like I didn't even win a match, right? So it shows you the power of some virality.
Let's hop into the roster that you guys are bringing in, because this is a stacked Daisy Fresh team under 66 kilograms. We'll start there. Max Hanson, what do you have to say about your boy?
Max is amazing. He's also another Canadian guy. It's funny, Daisy Fresh could also be called Team Canada with the amount of guys that have some affiliation to Canada with Dante, me, and Max. He's amazing. He just competed against like some 270-pound black belt in Ohio. He competes every single weekend. He's super dangerous. He's a really good, really, really nice guy too. So I think one of the coolest things is that I don't know how many 66s are used to just competing, especially in Nogi, against really big guys and winning and submitting them. But I think Max is someone people will probably underestimate against big guys. But if you actually know him, you'll know that he's definitely not a weak link. So he's amazing. He's a scary grappler. And I think, yeah, if you know that to be true too.
And tell me about under 88, Jacob Couch.
Jacob's amazing. He's super good. I mean, everyone knows him for his leg locks, but he's amazing at triangles. He's amazing at rear naked chokes. He's super hard to submit, to pass. And he's really mean and really gritty. I think you could say the same about a lot of the people on the Daisy Fresh team. Is it's like a very gritty team. But one of the bad parts about when you say gritty, people think not technical. I don't think that quite to be true. Couch is awesome. He's one of my favorite people to train with. He's probably one of the people that I train with the most whenever I go do my camps at Daisy Fresh. I'm grateful to have a partner who's big enough to where I can actually train passing, leg locks, and he wrestles a lot with me too, funny enough. And yeah, he's just an absolute dog.
And while we have time, I want to get your take on when you made a post, and it was kind of like a Gordon Ryan call out, no?
Well, I didn't mean to, but I said something stupid in an interview. Someone asked me, what do I think about the word scrimmage wrestling? And I said, I think, they said, what do you think about Gordon Ryan saying scrimmage wrestling? And I said, I think Gordon's weird for saying scrimmage wrestling. And I genuinely didn't think it was an insult. I thought, okay, I'm like using the word weird loosely. Early 2022, I went and visited Big Dan because he's a friend of mine, and I went to go train with him. Mind you, I've been training jiu-jitsu for 8 months at the time that I visited this gym. And then I rolled with Gordon. I did a 30-minute round with Gordon. Obviously, everyone knows how that would go. Then Gordon goes off and is like, remember when I kicked your ass for 30 minutes in a no-gi jiu-jitsu round? And I was like, okay, bro, like whatever. I trained for 8 months for sure. Like you should be able to. But then he said that's why you suck. You couldn't even wrestle Division I. And I was like, all right, if I suck at wrestling, there's one very easy way to figure it out, and it's to have a wrestling match. And he never responded. I wasn't trying to be disrespectful to him, but he clearly has a very short fuse. I didn't think saying he was weird was that big of a stab, but whatever. I don't even know. I don't care. I don't have beef with the guy, but I said my piece. He didn't respond. I didn't attack his jiu-jitsu, but he attacked me for a wording. Oh, you're weird for saying scrimmage instead of scramble. It's very easy to throw around that people suck because they're not Gordon, but also when you start to talk about the world of wrestling and you have 0 wins in wrestling, then it's like a basketball player telling like a Olympic level tennis player that they're horrible at tennis. You're like, come on, man, like it doesn't make any sense. And his ego was, I guess, bruised. But at the same time, I'll admit I shouldn't have said he was weird. I don't know. I was speaking very loosely. Whatever. I know I can't beat him in jiu-jitsu. Never said I could. But you know, he's very manly, right? So I'm like, well, let's stop talking on the internet and let's just let's handle it, right? And I don't try to beef with people in jiu-jitsu. I think it's ridiculous. Of course, he finds a reason, to get offended, and so that's the story.
Well, yeah, Gordon can definitely stay in his lane in terms of stating his opinion on wrestling, but that's such an interesting background to know. When it comes to the Daisy Fresh team, what do you think is your guys' route to victory?
There's a lot of snipers on the team. I'm definitely I know I'm the weakest link as far as submissions go, but I also think I have my own strengths that are going to help in very specific matches. But I mean, Max, Dante, Couch, Pixley, like they're snipers. You're gonna need your snipers to snipe, and you're gonna need a couple people to play strategically. Like I just competed in a quintet recently, a pretty big one in Canada, where like lots of the best teams came in, and it was really the difference maker. It wasn't, I would say, necessarily the best team didn't actually win, but strategically, guys were able to take certain players out. I could be wrong, but I don't think that there's going to be anyone who runs through a whole team. I don't think it's going to be possible. I think it's much harder said than done. If it happens, that's insane. Like that would be crazy, just because of who the teams are.
That would be absolutely insane if someone did run a whole squad. I mean, we've seen some crazy things happen, but at this level, the elite of elite, that's definitely going to be tough. I definitely think that it is so awesome that you guys are sticking with the Daisy Fresh team. You guys aren't doing any wild card aspects. So tell me about the self-belief in you guys' self, but also the belief that Heath has in you that kind of infuses this awesome camaraderie between you all.
Yeah, I mean, we all know each other, all train together. It's amazing. And me being like the newest member, I guess I joined almost 2 years ago. They're just great guys, and Heath is amazing. He's a general. He's the type of guy when you're feeling like crap, he's going to tell you you're the best in the world. I don't know. I can't speak for everyone else, but Heath gives me confidence. And then people like Pixley give me confidence because he's unintentionally very motivational. It's very fun to be around those people. And I think it's like a group of killers who all believe in themselves. And all of us, to some extent, have been highly successful at some point, whether it's in jiu-jitsu or wrestling. And so I think you just have a group of people who believe in themselves. And then you have a coach and Heath who is extremely personable, easy to believe in. And he treats us all like equals. And that's why I love it. I think it's going to be a fun team to watch. I think we're exciting. I think we have lots of personalities, and I think it's going to be great.
I definitely think that Daisy Fresh is the dark horse that a lot of people in the Thomas and Mack Arena are going to be cheering for. Thank you so much, Brandon. We'll see you in August.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of On Borrowed Time. Craig Jones is going to be in the flesh for an interview, and we're going to be talking about all the breaking news. Diego Pato taking up that 66 kilogram spot, Mika Galvao as the new wave wild card, and much more. We also have the Street X VIP treatment announcement that we still have to make. Craig Jones could be announcing that on his West Coast tour, but we also have some information on who won that seminar anywhere in the world when they bought a ticket during that 7-day window. Rumor has it that they're based in Lebanon. So stay tuned for all the information. Thanks again for joining us for this episode of On Borrowed Time, and make sure you hit that like button so we can get out this content to all the other jiu-jitsu nerds in the world. We'll see you soon. August 30th and 31st. It is coming up, and we cannot wait to see you guys in person for the action.